All right, so this week in Pax Day, we got a teaser, in my opinion at least, of the future teleportation mechanic that is coming through a lore post. And then we also got a spotlight on the compass, which was teased a couple of weeks ago, and the devs listened. It was really exciting to read that specific part. We're going to cover all of that and a whole lot more. But hello and welcome all of you extremely professional consumers of Pax Day and Pax Day related content out there. I'm Altari the Professional Gamer, and this is another episode of the Pax Friday Review, the show where we talk about all the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped for Pax Day over the last week. Like I said, we got a teaser, in my opinion, of the teleportation mechanic. We're going to talk about that. We're going to also have a more elongated video because it was a lore post. So we will be releasing that on Sunday, I believe. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can get notified when we do talk about it, if lore is something that interests you. But we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about the compass update. There was a, part 3 of the Market Square verse 2 update is going to be what seems to be the last part of the verse 2. So I think it's going to be a little bit lighter in terms of content, but that means that as we're getting closer to this, we're also going to start ramping up the teasers for the upcoming verse 3. Let's go ahead and head over to playpaxday.com to start talking about all of this. I'll see you over there. All right, so here we are on playpaxday.com, and this first post is a lore post. It's Redeemers Part 2, the Ancient Stella, and we're not going to cover all of the interesting, and there was a lot of interesting lore tidbits in here, but I just wanted to generally talk about kind of a trend I think I see in Mainframe and how they tease content sometimes. So Redeemers Part 2, the Ancient Stella, for anyone who doesn't know what the Stella are, those are the things, those giant stone monolithic tablets that we can teleport to and respawn at. So I think this might be a teaser specifically with regards to the teleportation miracles that at least I'm hypothesizing will be coming in verse 3. They didn't make it into verse 2 when they added grace, but I have a feeling it's going to be coming in verse 3. And this particular post is talking about the Redeemer Dimira, who she was pretty much responsible. If you look in game, you can see the description text for the Stella where it talks about how Dimira kind of sided or joined forces with the Fae to actually make these Stella, and that's where all of the smaller, more defined, or more numerous ancient Stella have come from. And you can see those kind of scattered all throughout the homeland valleys, but also in the wilderness as well. And then later on, we have Armazel, who came in and kind of infused it with a little bit more power, basically gave it some more juice, and that's where the Petra Mayas, or not the Petra Mayas, but the Petra Days came from. So the lore post is basically talking in first part about Dimira, and then later talks about the fifth Redeemer, Armazel, and how these different forms of stone tablets allow for us, the players, to be able to teleport to them and the lore behind it. So I have a feeling that this might be alluding to the fact that we're going to get teleportation miracles coming in verse 3. And it just seems interesting to me because there's been several cases now where we get these lore updates and then we end up being able to actually go and do something that the lore update has been tied to. Another important thing here as well is, if you recall, a couple of months ago, we got a teaser about the forest and the Fae areas of Pax Day, where we could see these really big trees and potentially a new dungeon entrance that had revolved around one of these large trees and maybe a tree entrance. So I feel like with the fact that we're talking about Dimira, we're also talking about, the Stella, which could be linked to teleportation, but then also there's this Fae connection, which could be bringing us now into more dungeon variety and the, expansion of those other enchanted wilds and stuff like that. I'd be really interested to see if you all think I'm just blowing smoke down in the comments, or if you think that we're on the right track here. But I have a feeling that this is a great way for Pax Dei to kind of transition into verse 3, and it's kind of a subtle one, but I think this is what Mainframe likes to do. So now we're going to move over to the Compass teaser, talk about how the devs listened to us, and I think I'm really excited for this. I think the player base as a whole, this is a major win. And yeah, we're going to go over and talk about that now. All right, and one last thing that I wanted to mention as well is, if you're interested at all in a complete breakdown of the lore post, we are going to be posting that on Sunday. It's going to be a deep dive into it. There's been multiple references now to this Gyronomicon, which the lore post from Thursday was from. So we're going to talk about all of that, break it down, go over some of the Redeemers, specifically Daemira and Armazel, and maybe a couple of the ones in between them. But it should be a really interesting one if you're a lore junkie like I am. And I'm really excited to share that. And you can check it out on Sunday. But now we have time to talk about the spotlight on the Compass system. Last time it was teased, we made some comments specifically on the fact that Pax Dei, at least in my opinion, would benefit greatly from a more immersive, explorative type feel. And it was my opinion, and based on some of the comments that we got on that video, it seemed like many others agreed that a compass would be kind of detrimental to a player's experience in exploring. Now the devs listened, which isn't surprising to me. I'm really, really happy about that. And maybe this was something that they already had planned. I can't take credit for it. It might just be a beneficial happenstance, but the compass is optional and can be turned off in the general game settings. So for anyone who does not like this compass, you can literally turn it off. And from what it seems like, the compass is more of just a quality of life feature that they implemented, most likely because there is a large number of the player base who does want a compass so that they don't have to open up their map all of the time, or they get lost very easily, or whatever it is. It can help them stay on track. So this is the best of both worlds. We can turn it off and we can keep it on, no problem. And specifically, what is it gonna show? You can have your custom markers on there, your waypoints. It'll show your body or remains if you have an untimely demise, but then it'll also show your plots, and all of these will appear at different ranges away from you. So it basically is just going to get you close enough if it's a point of interest, then it'll kind of start to fade away into transparency. Or if you're looking for your plots or something like that because you're lost, then it'll pretty much stay up and in your view for a pretty long distance away. It also is going to be interesting because now we know that it's around a kilometer distance away, so we can actually start gauging real life distance to in-game distance in Pax Dei. So stay tuned for some fun statistics on that. But either way, that is all of the content that we had for this week. Like I said earlier on in the video, part 3 of verse 2 is going to be, I think, a smaller one. We're not going to be getting a lot of major changes. It's not a large content drop. It's going to be just the compass and a couple of other smaller systems maybe coming online, or some additions or revisions. But verse 3 is the one that we should start getting excited for. I believe that will be coming out within maybe the next 1 to 2 months, or at least we'll start getting more and more information on it. Maybe we'll be able to get the devs on this channel to talk about it before then. But if you enjoyed this type of content, please do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with any of your friends who might be interested in learning more about Pax Dei. And until next time, I'm Altar, the Professional Gamer.